The rain was relentless that Sunday evening, hammering against the windshield of my beat-up Honda Civic as I drove back to my cramped apartment in Portland. I was bone-tired, my body aching from a weekend-long family gathering at my parents' sprawling suburban home in Beaverton. The event had been a whirlwind of laughter, arguments, and the kind of forced cheer that only comes with too many relatives crammed under one roof. My cousins had brought their kids, my aunts had brought their grudges, and I'd brought my usual role. The dependable one, the one who paid for the extra catering when the budget ran short, the one who mediated when Uncle Ray got too drunk and started yelling about politics. By the time I'd hugged everyone goodbye and promised to come back soon, I felt like I'd run a marathon in quicksand. Back in my apartment, the quiet was a relief, but it didn't last. I tossed my keys onto the counter, kicked off my shoes, and sank onto the couch, pulling out my phone to pay the overdue electric bill before the lights went out. I opened my banking app, expecting to see the $8,700 I'd carefully saved over the past year, money I'd scraped together by skipping vacations, eating instant ramen, and working overtime at my marketing job. But when the screen loaded, my vision blurred, and a cold sweat prickled across my skin. The balance stared back at me, unyielding. $97.23. I blinked, refreshed the app, and checked again. The number didn't budge. My heart started pounding, a frantic rhythm that felt like someone was trapped inside my chest, banging to get out. 2 days ago, I'd had enough to cover rent, bills, and maybe even a rare dinner out. Now it was gone. All of it. I checked the transaction history with shaking fingers. $2,500 withdrawn to an unknown account, $3,200 transferred to a PayPal I didn't recognize, $1,800 spent at a Best Buy in Beaverton, and smaller charges, groceries, gas, a coffee shop, all local, all within the past 48 hours. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. A hack? A glitch? But the locations were too familiar, too close to home. I called the bank immediately, my voice trembling as I answered security questions. The representative's tone was calm, almost bored, as she delivered the blow. The transactions originated from a device previously logged into your account, same IP address as a personal computer registered to you. It doesn't appear to be unauthorized access. I froze, the phone slipping slightly in my grip. A personal computer. The only place I'd used a computer this weekend was at my parents' house, where the family had gathered. The same house where I'd checked my email on my mom's ancient desktop. The one everyone in the family used. I hadn't logged into my bank account, or so I thought. I grabbed my keys and drove back to Beaverton, the rain blurring the road as my mind churned with images of the weekend. My sister Lauren laughing over a glass of wine, her husband Derek cracking jokes about his latest failed business venture. My mom Ellen fussing over the pot roast, my dad Tom glued to his phone muttering about stock prices. They'd all been there, hugging me, thanking me for always being there for the family. And now my life savings were gone. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked the same as it had hours ago, warm lights spilling from the windows, the faint hum of the TV inside. I knocked, my hand still trembling, and Lauren opened the door, her expression casual, like I'd just popped by for coffee. "Back already?" she said, stepping aside. She was still in her yoga pants, a glass of red wine in hand, her auburn hair pulled into a messy bun. I followed her into the living room, where Derek sprawled on the couch, a beer in one hand, the remote in the other. My mom was in her armchair knitting a scarf, and my dad was at the dining table, scrolling through his iPad. "I just checked my bank account," I said, my voice tight, barely holding back the storm inside me. "It's almost empty. Over $8,000 gone. In 2 days." Lauren's wine glass paused halfway to her lips. Derek glanced up, his smirk faint but unmistakable. My mom's knitting needles stilled, but she didn't look at me. My dad's eyes flicked up from his screen, then back down. The silence was deafening, broken only by the laugh track from the TV. "Oh, come on, Ellie," Derek said, leaning back, his tone dripping with mock sympathy. "Don't make a big deal out of it. We needed that money more than you did." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood there, stunned, my mouth dry. Lauren set her glass down and shrugged, like I just complained about a parking ticket. "You're overreacting," she said. "You've got a good job, no kids, no debt. You live alone in that cute little apartment. We've got bills, Ellie. Real problems." I turned to my mom, my voice barely above a whisper. Did you know about this? She sighed, her eyes still on her knitting. You're always so sensitive, sweetheart. You have so much. What's wrong with helping family? My dad mumbled, not looking up. Don't make this a fight. It's family business. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My hands clenched into fists, nails biting into my palms. How did you even get into my account? Lauren rolled her eyes. You left it logged in on Mom's computer. I saw it open. It's not like we hacked you or anything. So you just took it? My voice cracked. Without asking? Derek chuckled, cracking open another beer. It's not like we bought a yacht, Ellie. Rent, groceries, car repairs. You know how tight things are for us. You want us to starve. I looked at me sister, my brother-in-law, my parents. Not one of them looked guilty. Not one of them apologized. They sat there, comfortable, entitled, like I was the unreasonable one. What did I do to deserve this? I whispered, but no one answered. Lauren just tossed her hair and said, You'll earn it back. Don't be so dramatic. I grabbed my purse, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. No one stopped me as I walked to the door. My mom called out, Don't forget dinner next Sunday. As if nothing had happened. I paused, hand on the doorknob, and looked back. If you think I'm letting this go, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me, you're wrong. Wait and see. Lauren laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound. Oh, please, Ellie. You're being ridiculous. We needed it more than you. Don't be selfish. Outside, the rain soaked through my jacket as I climbed into my car. I drove, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ached, the red glow of traffic lights blurring through the downpour. Their words echoed in my head. We needed it more than you. Don't be selfish. No remorse, no shame. It felt like a nightmare, but I was wide awake. I didn't go home. I couldn't face the silence of my apartment, the reality of that $97.23 staring back at me. Instead, I pulled into the empty parking lot of Tryon Creek State Park, where I sometimes hiked on weekends. I turned off the engine and sat there, the rain drumming on the roof, my phone glowing with the banking app still open. The transactions were real, undeniable. I scrolled through them again, each one a betrayal. $800 at a grocery store, $1,200 on a new TV, $2,500 to an account I didn't know. My family hadn't just taken my money, they'd spent it like it was theirs. I wasn't shocked, not really. This wasn't the first time they'd leaned on me. 3 years ago, when I landed my job as a marketing coordinator at a biotech firm, Lauren had called, her voice desperate. My phone's about to get cut off. Can you send me $100? I didn't hesitate. She was my sister. Then Derek, unemployed for months, texted. Just need a couple hundred to tide me over. I sent it. When my niece Sophie turned 5, Lauren emailed me a gift list with nothing under $150. I bought the dollhouse, even though it meant skipping a new pair of work shoes. My mom's voice always followed. You're doing so well, Ellie. You're the stable one. Be generous. Over the years it became a pattern. Lauren's car payment, Derek's emergency loan. Mom's overdue utilities, I paid every time. They never asked if I was okay, if I could afford it. They just said, You're the strong one. Like it was a compliment. But it wasn't. It was a demand, an expectation that I'd keep giving, keep sacrificing because I didn't have a husband or kids or a mortgage. I'd canceled a trip to Hawaii with my best friend Mia to cover Derek's rent. I'd skipped dinners out, new clothes, even a gym membership to keep my family afloat. And they never once said thank you. I turned on the radio, hoping the music would drown out the ache in my chest, but it didn't. My phone buzzed, a text from my mom. Lauren says you're upset about the money. Don't make a big deal, sweetheart. We're family. I stared at the word family and it felt like a weight, not a bond. Family was supposed to lift you up, not drain you dry. I opened my notes app and started typing. Every payment I'd made, every late night call. Every time I'd said yes when I wanted to say no. I wrote until my fingers hurt, until the rain slowed to a drizzle and the park was cloaked in darkness. I wasn't writing to get my money back. I was writing to Rememberto, make sure I'd never let this happen again. The next morning, I called the bank and requested a full transaction report. It arrived in my email by noon. A 22-page PDF that detailed every cent stolen from me. I printed it out, highlighting each unauthorized charge in red. $2,500 to an account linked to Derek's email. $1,800 at Best Buy on a credit card I didn't own. $900 at a furniture store. One transaction stood out. $3,000 transferred from an IP address matching my parents' home. I'd used their computer to check my email, but I hadn't logged into my bank account. Someone had accessed it, someone who knew my habits, my passwords, my trust. I drove back to Beaverton that weekend, the transaction report tucked in a folder on the passenger seat. The house smelled of roast and garlic, just like every Sunday dinner, but the air was thick with unspoken tension. Lauren sat at the dining table, scrolling through her phone. Derek was in the kitchen, pouring himself a soda. My parents were in their usual spots, Mom knitting, Dad reading the news on his tablet. I didn't sit down. I placed the folder on the table and said, I reviewed my transactions. My account was accessed from this house. I didn't log in. So who did? No one spoke. Lauren's eyes flicked to the folder, then away. Derek leaned against the counter, smirking. My mom picked at her salad, avoiding my gaze. Finally, Lauren sighed. You left it logged in, Ellie. It's not like we broke into your account. So you admit it, I said, my voice steady but cold. She shrugged. I saw it open. You've helped us before. What's the big deal? The big deal, I said, my voice rising, is that you took $8,000 without asking. That's not helping. That's stealing. Derek laughed, a sharp grating sound. Stealing? Come on, Ellie. It's family. We needed insurance, Sophie's school fees, car repairs. You're acting like we went to Vegas. I turned to my mom. You knew about this, didn't you? She sighed, her voice soft like she was soothing a child. Ellie, you have so much. Lauren's raising a daughter. Derek's between jobs. Family means sharing. Sharing. I snapped. You drained my savings. I worked for that money. I skipped vacations, meals, everything to save it. And you think it's okay because I don't have kids? My dad set his tablet down, his face tight with annoyance. Don't be so harsh. You're the strongest one here. Everyone trusts you to handle things. Trusts me. I let out a bitter laugh. You call stealing my money trust? You call using my account without permission trust? You took advantage of me, all of you. Lauren slammed her phone down, her cool facade cracking. We didn't buy luxury bags, Ellie. It was for necessities. I'm exhausted, okay? Sophie's school fees, Derek's medical bills, the car breaking down. You're exhausted? Try being me. I looked at her, then at Derek, then at my parents. I am exhausted, I said, my voice trembling not with anger but with pain. I worked 60-hour weeks to pay off your credit card debt, Lauren. I canceled a trip to help Derek with rent. I ate rice and beans for a month to cover Mom's electric bill. I've been tired for years, but I never complained because I thought I was helping family. But all I did was let you use me. The room went silent, the only sound the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. I picked up the folder, my hand steady now. If this is how you treat the one person who never asked for anything, I said, looking at my mom, don't be surprised when I take back what's mine. Derek snorted. What, you gonna call the cops? Over family? I met his gaze, unblinking. Just wait and see. I walked out, the door closing behind me with a soft click. For the first time I didn't feel the familiar tug of guilt, the need to stay and fix things. I felt resolve, sharp and clear, like a blade cutting through years of obligation. Back in Portland, I sat at my desk, the city lights glowing outside my window. I pulled out a box I'd kept under my beta collection of receipts, bank statements, text messages, and emails. I wasn't paranoid, I was prepared. I'd saved every proof of payment. $200 for Lauren's phone bill, $1,500 for Derek's emergency, $800 for Mom's utilities. I spent 3 nights building a spreadsheet, color-coding each expense. Green for medical, yellow for necessities, red for the ones that made my blood boil, like the $1,200 Derek spent on a gaming console last Christmas while I skipped a work conference to cover my rent. On Monday, I took a half day from work and drove to the Portland Police Bureau's Financial Crimes Unit. I brought everything. The spreadsheet, the transaction report, a USB drive with digital copies, and a completed complaint form. Officer Maya Chun, a woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, took my case. She flipped through the documents, her expression unreadable. "This is thorough," she said. "We'll open a preliminary investigation for financial fraud and unauthorized access. Names of the individuals involved." I handed her a list. Lauren Mitchell, Derek Mitchell, Ellen Hayes, Tom Hayes. My sister, her husband, my parents. Saying their names felt like a betrayal, but staying silent would have been a betrayal of myself. 2 weeks later, Officer Chun called while I was in a meeting. I stepped onto my apartment balcony, the wind cool against my face. "We've completed the preliminary investigation," she said. "There's enough evidence to move forward. The investigative unit will visit the individuals' residences today." I thanked her and hung up, my heart pounding. It wasn't joy or vengeance I felt, it was relief. For years I'd carried their burdens, their expectations, their entitlement. Now, someone else was holding them accountable. That night my phone lit up with calls. "Mom, Lauren, Derek." I didn't answer. Texts followed. "Call your mother now." "What are you doing, Ellie?" "The police?" "You're ruining our lives." I ignored them. An hour later, a neighbor from Beaverton texted. "Cops were at your parents' house. They asked about you." I didn't respond, but I saved the message, another piece of evidence. The next day my boss, Sarah, pulled me aside. "A reporter called, asking about a financial investigation tied to your name. We didn't confirm anything, but if you need time off, just say so." I smiled, grateful for her discretion. "I'm okay," I said. "I'm doing what's right." That evening I sat by my window watching the city lights flicker. Lauren's voice echoed in my mind. "This family only survives because of you." They'd survive, but at what cost? They'd seen me as a resource, not a person. Now I was done. The calls didn't stop. My mom left voicemails, her voice soft and pleading. "Ellie, this is too far. We're family. Call me back." Lauren texted. "My account's frozen. Sophie's tuition is due. You win, okay? Happy now." Derek emailed from a new address. "I could lose my job over this. Can't you fix it?" My dad sent one message. "The bank's threatening foreclosure. We could lose the house." No apologies, just demands, as if I'd step in like always. I didn't. Instead, I drove to Cannon Beach, where I'd gone as a kid with my dad. The ocean was wild, waves crashing against the rocks, the air sharp with salt. I stood on the shore, my phone silent, and let the wind carry away the weight I'd carried for years. They'd call me cruel, selfish, a traitor. But I wasn't. I was free. 3 weeks later, I took a leave of absence from work. I packed my car and left Portland, driving east toward Bend, a town I'd visited once on a work trip. I'd fallen in love with its quiet streets, its mountain views, its sense of possibility. I rented a small cabin on the edge of town, with pine trees outside the windows and a desk where I could work remotely. I changed my number, told my company I'd be unavailable for in-person meetings, and started rebuilding. In Bend, I slept through the night for the first time in years. I cooked meals for myself, bought a bright blue rug for the cabin, and joined a hiking group. My energy returned, my mind clearer than it had been in a decade. One morning my boss called. "Ellie, your latest campaign proposal is phenomenal. We're considering you for regional director. Interested?" A year ago I'd have said no, too worried about Lauren's next crisis or mom's next bill. Now I looked out at the mountains and said, "I'm ready." Life in Bend wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, steady mine. I made friends, real ones, who asked how I was and didn't expect me to pay for their lives. One afternoon at a coffee shop I'd started visiting, the owner, a woman named Clara, recognized me. "You were here a few years ago, right?" Asked about the folk music I was playing. I laughed. "That was me. Now I live here." She smiled. "This place has a way of healing people." That night I wrote in my journal. I spent my life holding a door open for a family that only wanted to take. Now I've locked it and I'm keeping the key. I didn't know if Lauren would ever call, her voice soft with regret, or if my mom would apologize. I didn't care. I'd learned to love myself first. One morning, an email arrived from a name I didn't recognize, Rachel Kim. It took me a moment to place her, Lauren's cousin, a quiet woman I'd met at a family barbecue years ago. The subject was simple, "Thank you, Ellie." Her message was long, heartfelt. I heard what you did, how you stood up to them. I've been in the same cycle, giving everything to my family because they said I was lucky. You showed me I can say no. I'm starting to rebuild because of you. I sat there, tears in my eyes, not from sadness but from being seen. Rachel wasn't the only one. A coworker, Jen, texted after reading a blog post I'd written. I always thought you were unbreakable, but now I see how much you carried. You're inspiring. Each message was a reminder. I wasn't alone. In Bend, I started living for myself. I learned to bake sourdough, bought a yellow dress I'd never have worn before, and signed up for a pottery class. I hung a painting in my cabin, not because it matched but because it made me happy. I wasn't the old Ellie, the one who said yes to everyone. I was Ellie who knew her worth, who walked away when she needed to, who built a life she loved. One Sunday I hiked to a lake near Bend. The water so clear I could see the stones at the bottom. A family was there. A mother teaching her son to skip rocks, their laughter echoing across the water. I watched them, and for the first time I didn't feel the ache of what I'd lost. I'd thought I'd lost my family, but I'd found something better, myself. And that was enough.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.